You know the feeling, right? That sharp, simple insult? We've all been there. It can totally derail your day, maybe even your whole week. But what if we've been looking at it completely wrong? What if the pain from an insult isn't just a feeling, but a variable in a physics equation that you actually control?
So, let's dive right in. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus figured this out thousands of years ago. It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment of things. Now that's ancient wisdom for sure, but today we're going to give it a radical modern upgrade.
Because what if that judgment he talked about wasn't just some vague philosophical idea? What if it's an actual, measurable force, a variable that we can plug into an equation and solve, just like a physics problem?
All right, so that brings us to our first model. We're going to call it the insult equation. And to really get it, we need to step into the kitchen. Because in this scenario, you are the chef.
Here's the formula. E equals U times D squared. Now, I know, it might look a little intimidating, but just think of it like a cousin to E equals mc squared. Einstein's equation is about the physics of energy and mass, while this one is about the physics of our emotions. E is the essence, that's the final feeling you're left with. U is the utility, that's just the raw insult itself. And D, this is the most important part, is your governance. It's how you choose to deal with it.
And see, when you put it like this, it's actually pretty straightforward. That insult that gets thrown your way, that's just you, the raw ingredient. It has no flavor yet. D is you, the chef, deciding what to do with that ingredient. And E, well, E is the final dish you serve yourself, either a plate of stress or a feast of composure. And here's why your decision is so incredibly powerful. Notice how the D is squared? That means your choice has an exponential impact. If you have low governance, you stew in the insult, you add some resentment, and the result is entropy. You're just creating chaos and stress in your own mind. But with high governance, you recognize it's a rotten ingredient, you toss it out, and the result is composure, authority.
So here's the bottom line. The insult is just the exam paper. It's just raw data. Your reaction, that's the answer you write down. The pain you might feel is you grading your own answer. You have complete, total control over that final grade.
So how does this actually work? Well, to get it, we need to understand why our judgment has so much power in the first place. And it's because you're not seeing reality directly. You're experiencing it through a filter. It's like a headset you can never, ever take off.
The science behind this is absolutely fascinating. Our brains, it turns out, don't see the world as it really is. They create a simplified version for us, kind of like a user interface on a computer. Cognitive scientists like Dr. Donald Hoffman even call it the interface theory of perception. And this equation, it's just the fancy way of saying that the reality you experience is a filtered version of what's actually out there.
So what does this mean? It means an insult is not a direct hit on your soul. It's just a glitchy icon on your desktop. You know, like how a blue folder icon isn't really a blue folder. It's just code and voltages. Well, an insult is just data representing the other person's internal state. It's not actually you. And check this out. How you actually experience that icon depends completely on your filter settings. If you're running a stage 4 or victim filter, it renders the insult as a life or death threat, and your amygdala fires up. But if you're using a stage 10 or steward filter, it renders it as diagnostic data. You just see that the other person is in pain. You don't confuse the icon on the map for the actual territory of who you are.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how do we actually use this in the heat of the moment? For that, we need a practical tool. And this framework calls it the pomegranate press.
The metaphor here is just perfect. An insult is like a pomegranate. You can't just swallow it whole, right? It's tough, it's bitter, it's full of parts you can't eat. To get any value out of it, you have to press it.
So here's how it breaks down. The peel is the toxic container. That's the nasty tone, the volume, the aggression. The source material calls this acidic, the raw, surface-level stuff. But hidden inside, there might be some juice. That's the nourishing part, any potential truth or feedback. And this is called al-haq, the deeper reality. Your job is just to separate the two. Because if you don't separate them, you end up swallowing the peel. You let all that bitterness just fester. This is what causes what the framework calls cognitive indigestion. We're talking about cognitive dissonance and real measurable spikes in cortisol. You're basically eating poison and then wondering why you feel sick. So, here it is, the practical 3-step protocol. Step 1, receive. That's it. Just pause. Do not react. That initial chemical rush of emotion, it only lasts about 90 seconds.
Anything you feel after that is you choosing to rerun the program. Step 2, extract. Ask yourself, is there any truth here? Any juice? If yeah, great, take the feedback. If no, then the juice is simply the data that the other person is suffering. And finally, step 3, discard. You consciously throw away the peel, the tone, the ego hit, all of it. Okay, let's zoom out one last time. Mastering this isn't just about you feeling better. It actually has ripple effects. You're not just a chef in your kitchen. You are a programmer with sovereignty over your own system.
The framework calls this the network of ANFIS, which is just a way of saying a network of conscious beings. And the key idea here is that none of us exists in a vacuum. Our internal state, whether it's stress or calm, it has a ripple effect on absolutely everyone around us. The choice you make directly impacts this network. When you react, you're just adding emotional static or noise to the system. You leak cortisol through what scientists call social contagion. Basically, your stress becomes contagious. But when you let the insult pass, you maintain your personal sovereignty. You preserve your agency, and you stop that air from spreading through the whole network.
Think about it this way. To react is to let an external node, the person insulting you, hack into your system and dictate your internal state. You are literally handing over the admin privileges to your own mind.
So at the end of the day, it really comes down to this choice. You can be the victim who confuses the glitchy icon for reality and just surrenders their agency, or you can be the programmer who recognizes the icon is just code and acts as the governor of their own system, patching the bug before it can do any damage.
Which brings us to the core takeaway of this entire explainer. An insult is an apparition. It's a ghost, it's a phantom. To let it fester is to surrender your very own agency to that apparition. So the question isn't whether or not people are going to throw insults at you. Trust me, they will. The only question that truly matters is this: you are the governor of your mind. What laws are you going to enforce?